All right, friends. Doc South. Well, another shot here. another another video. Oh boy, I was going to do this outside, but quite honestly, it's just too darn cold out there to even think straight. Tell you. So I thought I was just thinking of something one day. Oh God, this what is this? What am I now? I'm older than dirt. So I was younger than older than dirt. Okay, yeah, I was more like I was like older than I don't know decaying corn cobs back earlier in my life. Let's see, I would think. Oh, I think I must have been in my 20s. Okay, give or take, and I had the chance to go see a Civil War reenactment. And this was an interesting one. Normally, you just, for a Civil War reenactment, you see um, people dressed up as, some Northern soldiers, some Southern soldiers. They meet on either on an actual old battlefield, or they meet in a field somewhere and have at it. They, of course, no one gets killed. They don't use live ammo, which is a plus. And they and it's I guess folks have a grand old time, and I guess when it's all over, they sit around and drink beer, which is probably what the old time Civil War soldiers would have much rather have done. In fact, forget the shooting at each other. Let's just sit around and drink some beer. We'll figure it out. Yeah, but unfortunately, it didn't work that way. And I remember at this particular reenactment, it was an artillery company. People evidently, somehow or another, don't ask me how, but they got a hold of Civil War cannons. And this group fired them. They were cannons that were able to be fired, and they meet at it was a hillside somewhat near Towanda, Pennsylvania, if I recall. And again, this was at least 50 years ago, maybe longer. Along Route 6, I think you had to cross Route 6 to get there, and it was somewhere around Tunkhannock or Towanda, in between. And this was something. We stayed for a day or two, and at one point they lined up all the cannons they had. They lined them up, and they announced that they were going to show what an artillery barrage was like back in the day. And what they did was they made targets out of bales of hay. Yeah, targets that looked like people, that looked like maybe a wagon. In other words, it looked like what you might see across the field from you in a field of battle, but they were hitting it with cannonballs. Right. It was Civil War style. All I can tell you is, if you were a living human being in the middle of that barrage and it was aimed at you, it would have been the worst 30 seconds of your life. It may have been only the worst second of your life, because those cannonballs went across that field so doggone fast. And they also sometimes worked where they bounced them instead, so you couldn't even dodge them if you thought you could. I mean, you'd have to be awfully good at dodgeball. New meaning to that game. And it was just horrendous. The noise and these guys could fire. One line could fire while the other one's loading, and frankly, you'd never get across that field to him. You just no. Maybe one guy, and he'd be very shook. It wouldn't be good. And I don't know. I got to thinking about that, and then also and the Civil War, and how nobody could really agree. And next thing you know, they're saying, well, we're going to invade, or we're going to fight. Well, maybe not such a good idea. Okay. I mean, they also had bayonets back in those days, and musket balls, mini balls when they hit you. broke you to shreds. I mean, you were in a pickle when a mini ball hit you. It was not a clean wound. And I'm thinking how so many of those soldiers, if they survived, how they must have thought like, man, was that when the war was all over and they went back home and maybe their old cabin was shot down, maybe 18 guys in their town, their small town, came back dead. They may, in their minds, be thinking, the returning soldiers thinking, God, I think I killed about five or six guys, and they were they would have been friends of mine, and yet I killed them. I don't know. I think sometimes maybe fighting and arguing and letting it escalate, sort of like what's happening now, leads to this kind of baloney. And it's something I think people ought to maybe be. I think it wouldn't hurt. Think of what you have. You ever seen some of the old photos of the Civil War soldiers who are now like 100 years old, 105, and they meet at Gettysburg, maybe right where Pickett's charge met. Oh gosh, was it McClellan's division? I might have, I might be wrong. My apologies to historians, but they met at, yeah, right in the middle of of the battle. This thing just goes, they met and clashed, and oh my God, it had to be awful. And can you a picture what that would have been, what, 1863? Say 40, 50 years later, they're now all old men, them that still lived, them that survived, and they're just shaking hands. And I think went to a dinner together. There was some kind of party for them, and they kind of just let it go. I I don't know. I think what I see in this country, everybody just getting so sore for one thing or another, a lot of it, honestly, I think could be worked out a much better way. Just sit and talk it over. Get together and say, well, look, maybe I'll trade you two of these for one of those, and now that I think about it, your idea is almost right. How about if you try moving, yeah, or we add this little thing to the plan, and what do you think? And go at it in that kind of spirit. I honestly, people can't even argue anymore without just shouting each other down. Better you should listen, talk it over, and come up with some plans. I'm just saying. I think it might be a good idea because people are going nuts, and sooner or later, this ain't gonna end pretty. It's going to be people standing in front of cannons, and the cannons is loaded, and the fuse is lit. Not good. Not a good place to be. Very bad place to be. Anyway, I thought I'd say. Lord's Prayer moment. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. So be it. Here's to more smiles. We'll see you later. Bye, friends. God bless. I'll tell you, just sit out there and on the campground with a little bit of coffee and yak it over, and maybe things will work out a whole lot better. No one's running around all sore. Okay, I'll see you. Bye now. God bless.